Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com, back with some more Pittsburgh Steelers tape breakdown and analysis. Today I want to talk about Arthur Smith and the Pittsburgh Steelers game plan in that ugly Sunday loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. And while I understood Pittsburgh was fighting an uphill battle without George Pickens on the road against a tough Eagles defense, I thought the run game plan was abysmal. Going to be a longer video today in all likelihood. Let's talk about it. Before we start, if you guys could like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. Would really appreciate that. So we're going to go and look through every single one of the, I believe, 12 runs that Pittsburgh had by their running backs in this game, by Najee Harris, by Jaylen Warren, and by Cordero Patterson. We won't look at the quarterback sneaks and the quarterback power, the one designed run by Justin Fields. And it's going to feel like Groundhog Day. It's going to be a lot of the same, but I really want to just go and be thorough and look at exactly how similar and really how poor this game plan was. Before I do that, and I know this intro's longer-winded than usual, I just want to quickly make the point that I'm not playing armchair quarterback. I talked about this in our scouting report on the site on Friday, on the podcast Friday, previewing the Eagles game, and then shortly before kickoff had this tweet about the one thing Pittsburgh could not do to have a chance to be successful in the run game against the Eagles. They could not play in a sardine can. They couldn't play tight. They couldn't be in their typical 12-13 personnel, and they couldn't really try to run up the middle. And if you do that, the Eagles are going to be in their 5 down front, their 6 down front, very clear on tape. Pittsburgh's done well in past weeks, like the Bengals game, avoiding running into that. When they did see it, they did not do that in this game against the Eagles. So going through each play, this will be the very first one, a short toss. It's not really a crack toss. It's kind of a almost wind-back type play here. Add the 12 personnel to the field side. Toss left here, Najee Harris. Not completely well-blocked there in Washington. He can't reach and climb to Nakobe Dean. Not getting a lot of movement off the line of scrimmage on these double teams and base blocks, and the run does not go for much. But that's the initial run here, motioning Hayward to the backfield to have this I form, toss weak to the field, not going for much. And quickly, I forgot to mention, really important here, the Eagles respond with their 5 down front. Once Hayward goes to the backfield, Nolan Smith rolls up. You're in this 5 down look, this 5-2 front, and that is the front you could not run on against the Eagles and expect to have success. Next run, a toss against the 5-2 front again. Toss to the boundary to Najee Harris. Mason McCormick, he can't hold this block. Neither can Michael Pruitt. And the run goes for very little. So Pittsburgh, again, had a heavy personnel. They got 12 personnel out there on the field. Quick look at the aerial view. Tight splits. 2 receivers in. It's Scotty Miller, Van Jefferson. Toss to the boundary. Not well blocked up on the front side of this toss, and it goes nowhere. But just keep these things in mind. Heavy personnel. Seeing these 5-2 fronts again. 5 down here, 2 linebackers. D-line did shift away. They're tossing away from the shift, but ultimately the play not successful. Next run, similar situation. Not a toss this time, but Pittsburgh working at a 12 personnel. Michael Pruitt motion to the backfield, getting this 5 down front. Really well-timed play by number 17, Nakobe Dean. He's going to time this blitz. Don't know if he had a good feel about when the snap count was going to be, but he times it before the ball's even snapped, blows this play up, gets into that gap, takes Pruitt along with him, so that really demands the center and the lead block to take him, and this play goes belly up here pretty quickly. Just nothing there. Dan Moore losing his block. We'll take a quick look from the aerial view. Again, similar splits here, very tight splits. Motion of the tight end to the backfield out of this I-form look. You're going to see that continually in this breakdown, and this run again going for essentially nothing. 5-2 front here by the Eagles, responding to that. That was consistent on their tape. When teams would go heavy, they're in their 5-2 front. Not the only team that does it. A lot of teams do it. I shouldn't say most, but the Bengals do it. The Browns have done it in years past, and the Eagles certainly a big part of their personality. But Dean, reading this, and I don't know if it just was good luck or good timing, whatever it was, but some sort of maybe tip-off here, because he is timing this thing before this ball's even snapped, blows up this A-gap, collects Pruitt as well. Moore loses his block. This run going nowhere in a hurry. Next run, very similar to the first one that we saw. 12 personnel, Connor Hayward motioned into the backfield, tossed to the boundary, and this run again going for nothing. Dean, free runner, makes a tackle on Jaylen Warren. Gonna look up top again. We're talking same splits. We're talking same reduced, nasty splits here. Same look, same formation, heavy personnel, toss to the boundary against this 5 down front. Warren, nothing he can do there. Dean makes the open field tackle. We got free linebackers running. It's gonna be a long day. You want free corners? Okay, that's fine. We can beat running backs against corners, but not those linebackers who are running free. Again, 5 down look here. D-line did shift away, but that is not proven to be successful. I understand Pittsburgh not running into the teeth of this defense. That'd be just as bad a strategy, and I did not want Pittsburgh to do that, but I did not want them to do these plays out of heavy personnel. It's not even, and I know many will rail against it, just as a quick sidebar, many will hate the toss, and there was way too much of that in this game. I concede that, but the toss itself was not necessarily bad. I did want the ball to be more perimeter, but it just can't be heavy. It just can't be against these 5 down looks, and Pittsburgh having no success, but continuing to try out of the same formation, essentially the same play, and always getting the same results. A slightly more successful play, only a 4-yard gain, but given how this game went, I'll take a 4-yard gain in this one. Now, it was, I should say, called back. There was a penalty on Van Jefferson for illegal shift, not getting set. That did negate this play, wiped it out, does not count, but that had nothing to do with the impact of the outcome of the play. This is a 4-yard run, no matter if Jefferson's in position, penalty, or not. And so a little different look here, and it's amazing what a different look. Now, the splits are still tight, but it's 11 personnel, at least getting a little different look. You're getting the Eagles out of that 5 down front, and that's the really important thing. You don't want them to be in that 5-2 look or even the occasional 6-1 look where Bond will roll up. They're in this, they're just they're in nickel right now because they're Pittsburgh's in 11 personnel. So it's 4-2, 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers. DeJean, the rookie, is coming down in the box here, but DB's in the box. Okay, we can work with that. And so you're getting more success here, not getting the toss in this instance. You're getting really an inside zone type of play here. Insert block by number 15, Skoranek. You got a hole. It's not a huge gain, but it's 4 yards. It's more than you've been getting. And we just didn't see really any of that. They go back to the tried and true and unsuccessful heavy personnel. So we're gonna check out in a moment. Bond is free. I don't know what happened there, but again, at least you're getting a hole. At least you're getting 4 yards. You're getting something. This should have been more the model, and we did not see it. So after having some success running a different scheme out of 11 personnel, what does Pittsburgh go back to? The old 12 personnel toss to the boundary side, and the same results again occur. This is just not a play that has a lot of success. Now, again, there's potential if this thing's blocked up right. I get that. Any run play or most run plays that failed, you could sit there and say, well, you just blocked this one guy. We're 1 block away from making something happen. But I just, in principle, did not like the idea the results weren't there and Pittsburgh kept trying. You're trying to count on everyone to win those one-on-one blocks up front against this Eagles tough front. I just didn't think it was reasonable to expect. And that's why you don't want to run on it, because it's really counting on everyone to have to win their blocks and be perfect. And if someone isn't, the play is going to fall apart. So again, toss here to the boundary. This one has more promise than others. I'll give you that. Nice job by Pruitt, by Washington. This is actually out of 13 personnel. Pittsburgh with similar tight splits, but Frymuth in the game here, he's digging out the safety. This one could have had more for sure, but we're just seeing the running theme of tosses to the boundary. Eagles getting their 6 down front here, which again is on tape. It's on our scouting report. We've seen it all the time. And Pittsburgh, again, just getting very little out of this one concept, out of this one look. Another more successful run, and again, we're seeing it out of 11 personnel. Why did Pittsburgh not try to run more out of 11 personnel? I understand they only had 41 plays, partly because their own lack of run success, especially in the first half of this game, but why did we not see more of it? This one is something different. You got 11 personnel, you got this motion here from, I think that's Van Jefferson. At least it's a different look, and it's a little creative too, getting Skoranek to kind of lead up through the hole here. You don't see that as often. It's becoming more popular this year. I mean, teams have done it, the Eagles have done it too, but it's a different look than just 12 personnel, crack toss to the boundary. Let's run this kind of inside zone play here, have Skoranek lead through a little different wrinkle, and this one gets some yards. And I'll show some charting here a little bit to kind of, it's a small sample size, but shows 11 personnel runs were more successful than the heavy personnel runs. This next run, I believe, is Pittsburgh's only gun run of the entire day. I might have missed something. You guys will probably check me in the comments, but only one, I believe, here. Jalen Warren at a 12 personnel. Not a toss. It's just really more, it's a little hard to tell, just inside zone duo, kind of the same thing. Not successful, but just interest of showing all the runs. Here is a little different variation, same result, same outcome. Nice job up front by the Eagles, and Pittsburgh got away with a false start on this one for sure. As the Eagles stem their front, you're going to see Jones, his leg flexed there. They should have called it, they didn't. And you see that right there. And they want the penalty, and very upset there are the Eagles, but they take that anger out on the snap as Eagles control the line of scrimmage, and this run for Warren goes nowhere. All right, for Pittsburgh, they're back to their greatest hits, 12 personnel. Let's go ahead and run. Toss to the boundary. Repeating myself like a broken record. Zorro toss this time. Dolphins made this pretty popular. The Shanahan tree. They've done that with Trent Williams and Juszczyk and all their tight ends. So you're going to get tight end Pat Frymuth in motion here, doubling. A little different variation of their toss game, but still toss game all the same against this 5-down front. Front side's a mess. Good backside contained there by the Eagles secondary. Again, getting this. It's not even the 5-down. It's a 6-down front here. 6-1. With the DBs obviously down here on the goal line. Nice cut block backside by Sayamalu, but again, we're just seeing tosses to the boundary at a heavy personnel against these 5, and in this case, 6-down fronts, and to no avail, to no success. Back to 11 personnel, and what do you know? Pittsburgh found some traction in the run game. One of their few second-half runs they had, a hole here for Jalen Warren. He hits it, gets upfield, and Pittsburgh gets 6 yards. 11 personnel. Now it is tight, and Skoronek's in as this wing, so it's not like Pittsburgh's spreading things out. But, again, why not run more at 11 personnel? There was some success. Clearly, 12 personnel wasn't working, so why not try something different? Try different, even if it's the same run scheme, but had a different personnel, different formation, different alignment. You had a whole week of practice. It wasn't a short week like the Cleveland game where you gave a little bit of grace for why the game plan and the run scheme was so stale. And so, same splits, which I don't know why Pittsburgh ran out of the same splits the entire time. Why not widen the receivers out? Maybe to play off their boot game a little bit, which really ended up being ineffective too. But a little different. Now, again, you are seeing the Eagles in their 5-down front. And so with Skowronek in and things being tight, I don't love that. But I do like a little different scheme, inside zone, at 11 personnel, 6-yard run by Warren. That had success. The toss didn't. And yet they lean on the toss to run it 7 times, as we'll continue to watch. Pittsburgh working at a 13 personnel, but it is finally not a toss play. It's going to be looks like a duo man-blocking run. Nice job here by Najee Harris. Probably a little more individual effort than fantastic blocking, but there is at least a little bit of a lane, and Pittsburgh's getting more downhill, and it turns into a 6-yard run for Najee Harris. And this is a 20-13 game. Pittsburgh picking things up a little bit. Again, heavy personnel against that 5-down front there. In this case, I think it stays the 5-down front. Let's see what Bond does here. Now, Bond does roll down here, so it becomes that 6-1 look, but a little different scheme and a little more success. And so after those 2 more successful downhill runs, 1 at 11 personnel, what does Pittsburgh go back to? The old toss to the boundary. Same thing, motioning Pruitt around, 13 personnel, Frymuth in the game. There was a check here from Russell Wilson, so he did to this toss play. And this is obviously the Najee Harris fumble. Technically, the fumble did not go to him, went to Russell Wilson, but it's obviously on Najee. Now, the toss itself is not to blame here for why Najee fumbled. I'm not putting that on Arthur Smith. But, it's the same thing. And this play obviously is a turning point in this game. Eagles recover. And the game really turned and ended for Pittsburgh from there. So you had those 2 successful runs, and then you go back to the old crack toss. And, the game really ended in this moment. Next drive, Pittsburgh working at a 12. Not a toss, though, and so you do get duo on this play. It's a nice hole. Patterson a little late hitting it, but you do get 5 yards, and he does fall forward. And so when you were doing things that weren't toss related, you were having more success. So why not lean on that more than what Pittsburgh did? Now you can talk about some of the penalties and obviously just a lack of plays, but I still think in the first half when you had 5 straight 3-and-outs and you were running toss predominantly, you could have had a little different plan there. And I don't know why there wasn't a quicker adjustment. Again, I don't hate the toss idea in principle. I get getting out on the edges a bit more than trying to run into the teeth of this Eagles defense and Carter and all those guys, Jordan Davis, some big guys in the middle, but don't do it out of that heavier personnel. And this time, the Eagles in their 4-down front. So at least this time, you got them in that. You got to find ways. The point is, you got to find ways to get them out of that 5 down front. If you do that, you have a chance for success. If you don't, it's going to be a long day. And you're seeing here when Pittsburgh got them out of that, the few times that it happened, Pittsburgh had more success. Finally, the final run of the day for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and really one of their final plays, had a couple more after this because there was a penalty, but they were all pass plays. But back to the old crack toss. Hayward motion in the backfield out of 12 personnel. Eagles do stay in their 4 down front in this instance, and this play had more success. It became a 6-yard run by Cordero Patterson that should have set up 2nd and 4. This one got called back because of a Zach Frazier trip here, which is a really questionable call. I know the optics probably didn't look great, but clearly Frazier's not trying to trip Dean. It's just working his cut block and kind of rolling through it to finish the play there, and their legs just kind of get tangled up. Dean's not even mad about it, so it's not like he felt like he was tripped or something egregious like that where Frazier stuck his leg out. So you got them in the 4 down front, add a little wrinkle with Hayward, kind of this pre-snap motion, toss to the boundary, more success. This one gets called back. Would have been the most successful toss play of the game. Again, the principle being just get them out of that 4 down front. And Pittsburgh, again, with these really reduced splits, it's all they look. It was the same look the entire game. It just feels very repetitive because it is. And this is the final run of the day for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Finally, I just want to put up some numbers on screen, some data to illustrate my points here. I know sample sizes are small for one game, but that's all we have to work with here. Pittsburgh, when they ran the ball out of 12 or 13 personnel in this game, they averaged 2.6 yards per carry. They were successful on 5 of those 11 plays. Compared to Pittsburgh, out of 11 personnel, they averaged 4.7 yards per carry on their 3 runs out of that grouping, and 2 of those 3 runs were deemed successful. The only one that wasn't was a 4-yard gain on 2nd and 9. Not technically successful, but a positive play that gets you into a more manageable 3rd down situation, which Pittsburgh often was not in this game. So I know sample sizes, again, are small, but Pittsburgh did not look to run out of 11 personnel more often, and that is confusing when it was having more success in the 12 personnel and 13 personnel runs, and especially the boundary toss plays were not. And so I don't understand why Pittsburgh wanted to go with what was not working and not try something different and go with what was working. So that wraps up today's video. Just to put a pin on things, just this is off the top of my head right now, but 7 of Pittsburgh's 12 runs were toss plays. They averaged, I think, 1.7 yards per carry. I should mention when I referenced the yards per carry run success, that also included the penalties. The final one from Patterson with the Frazier trip and the one run earlier on the Jefferson illegal motion. Neither of those penalties had really impacted the success of those plays. I wanted to keep those in just to kind of highlight the numbers, and I was fair to do it for both the heavy personnel stuff and the 11 personnel run. So the crack toss was abysmal. And again, formationally, everything looked identical. 6 of those 7 runs were to the boundary. The final 6 were. The only one that wasn't was the first one we saw, was that little short kind of wind back toss to the field side that was to the weak side on the first rushing attempt of the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, can't figure this one out. We talked about it, again, going into the game, mentioned, the danger of playing at a heavy personnel after the game. In fact, I'll put up a comment and a quote from Najee Harris about, it was asked about why the run game couldn't get going, and his first answer was they're in their 5 down front, they're stuffing the run, the holes weren't there, and that is true. And Pittsburgh kept doing the same thing, getting the same results. As you guys know, that is the definition of insanity, and that's how I felt watching this game. So, appreciate you guys watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Want more content like this? Check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. Thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.